Let's see how I take this scrap wood from an old dresser and turn it into this piece of art. To start, I have to sort through the pieces that I have to see what I'm working with. All of this is oak, mostly from drawer boxes, as you can see from the dovetails. Working with reclaimed materials sometimes means you have to be flexible and let the material dictate what you make. I start by trimming off some of the drawer features like rabbets and dovetails to get some usable pieces. Extra processing comes with using reclaimed materials. You have to break it down into usable pieces before you can build something. After I have everything planed down and square, I laminate two boards together to get to my desired thickness for the frame of the lamp. Working with reclaimed materials sometimes means making a few extra steps like this. I use this trick when laminating boards. The glue acts as a lubricant that makes the glue-ups clumsy, so the grain from the sandpaper helps to add some friction. Once I have all four sides glued up, I plane them to make sure they are all the same thickness. I'm squaring up all of the edges and cutting each side to the correct length and width to prepare for the glue up. This is a key step in getting a perfectly square box. Now if you've ever cut miter, you know the mistake that I'm making that's going to come back to bite me later. Comment below if you can spot it. If you notice me measuring from the inside of the angle, then you see the problem. This caused me to cut all the sides just a little bit too short. You can start to see the vision here with the projector sides. I'm drilling out the bottom where the lamp base will sit. I'm using this sacrificial board, which is the front of the drawers that I got this wood from. You can see the benefit of using the sacrificial board. Absolutely no tear out on the piece. And we have a perfect fit. This is definitely a do not try this at home moment. I was just trying to square up the two faces. Using this straight board, I'm able to use it as a sliding fence and gives me a similar finish to a jointer. Using this method on all sides of the box will make sure that both of the faces are completely parallel with one another. Now you might be saying, wait, you didn't show us the glue up. The reason for that is, when I went to do the glue up, I realized I had cut everything too short. Thinking that I had ruined my project completely, I decided to come up with a creative solution to try to save it. You'll notice these strange looking spines coming horizontally out of the joints. I added these to make the box just a little bit bigger in order to fit the projector slides. Now I have to trim up these extra spacers. Thankfully they don't take anything away from the final product. I wish I would have filmed that part, but it was a moment of panic trying to save my piece from that fast approaching deadline. Obviously this is not the ideal way to trim these pieces, but I was able to make it work. Using a flush trim bit, I was able to get these close to 90 degrees again. This is where I might lose some of you. Why am I gluing random pieces of wood to a perfectly square box? Well, because of art. The plan is to build out some bulk with these pieces and then carve them back into a flowing, organic shape that will hold the slides. During this stage of the build, I really had some doubts about whether or not this project would look good and whether or not I would like it enough to submit it to a gallery. These clamps came in clutch, trying to hold all these awkward shapes together. Getting all of these pieces together felt a bit like a jigsaw puzzle, but the vision is slowly starting to take shape. As always, the clamping is a bit of a headache. Once the glue is dried, I start the process of carving. This 30-second clip gives you an idea of what a dusty couple of hours looked like for me. I started off with a carving disc, but that proved to be too aggressive, so I switched to some flat discs and slowly sanded away. You can really see the shape coming together. I wanted an organic, flowing shape that felt like it was wrapping around the box. Next up was the ever-tall task of sanding and scraping with the card scraper. Combining these two methods helped to get a really smooth texture on this piece. I used a soft foam sanding pad to get into all the nooks and crannies. I wanted to test the finish to see how it would look before some final sanding. I love the way this oak grain shows through. Now, since Philly turned into a solid block of ice and my shop isn't insulated, I had to move inside to the kitchen table to do the finish. This is a water-based finish, so it never would have worked out in the cool temperatures. The temperature and humidity change caused some movement in the wood, so I had to glue some of the pieces back down. One of the final tasks was arranging the projector slides to feature the most interesting pictures on the front. If you created or recognize any of these images or were at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia during the late 70s and early 80s, please reach out. I would love to connect and learn more about the stories behind these pieces. The University of the Arts was abruptly closed in 2024, much against the wishes of the faculty, students, and community. There is currently redevelopment going on to turn it into a place that will host artists and makers, continuing the legacy of the building. After setting up the light, it was time to attach the slides to the frame. I wanted something that would make a statement and hold strong, so I used brass furniture tacks. I pre-drilled all of the holes to avoid splitting the piece. This lamp was entered in a gallery, and of course, I was finishing it just before midnight the day the submissions were due. The gallery was located at the Resource Exchange in Kensington, a beautiful reuse store here in Philadelphia. My lamp got a lot of interest, and people had so many questions. It was so heartwarming to see people react to it in a natural way. There were so many talented artists, and such beautiful pieces on display. I am very thankful for this opportunity to display my work. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned to see some of the exciting projects that I have up next.